Lord. All right, you guys, we are on what is this? We have one other session besides, I'm going to restart talking this thing over. Okay, welcome to our Healthy Eats and Treats talk around macros with Mercede Eve with Macros by Meve. We all are blessed to have her here today doing her first Zoom call and sharing her knowledge with us. So I'm just going to let you do your thing, take over. And it is a discussion, you guys. So if you have questions on anything nutrition based, just put them in the chat or feel free to say it out loud. So here we go.
Yes, if you have any questions at any time, just interject. Like Josie said, my name is Mercede Eve. I'm the owner of Macros by Meve. And a little background of myself. I graduated from Montana State Bozeman with a degree, Bachelor's of Science in Food and Nutrition. And what I do is I like to teach people have a better relationship and understanding of their nutrition and the foods that they eat and how they like to eat them and how to make the foods that they like to eat fit their lifestyle. Because despite me having a formal education and background in nutrition, I still spent way too many years trying to figure it out. Despite all of the education I had, you still had celebrities and trends and fads that were constantly coming up, and you just kind of felt like, well, I'm going to follow that. I want to be skinny, so I'm not going to eat, right? Eating sub 1,000 calories is never good for anybody, not even like my 80-year-old grandma. So I can only imagine what it's like for people that don't have any education or background in nutrition whatsoever, because you don't really get taught much in high school about nutrition. So what I like to do is help people learn how to figure this stuff out on their own. So why track your macros? First of all, what are macros? They're your proteins, carbs, and fats. Everybody needs them, but everybody needs them in different amounts according to their goals, their bodies, their age, their height. There's so many other things that go into figuring out someone's macros. So with that, have you ever met somebody who's maybe done paleo or some sort of diet and they lose weight and they feel great, but then all of a sudden they accidentally start gaining a bunch of weight back, and because they're eating like jars of almond butter and bacon, not really knowing what their caloric intake is, like they've been in a deficit, that's why they've lost. But then once that's over, it's like panic mode, like they go back to their old ways of eating because those are the foods that they like to eat, but they don't know because they're not weighing and measuring and figuring out like, okay, how can I make this like an everyday thing? So I've met so many people that are like, I did so great on this, this, and this, but then I just gain it back. Well, you can make anything fit. If you like higher carb, lower fat, you can do that. If you like higher fat, less carbs, you can do that. But you still need all three of them to work cohesively to make your body happy. Okay. So what I recommend is weighing and measuring your food. Yes, it's a pain in the beginning. Like nobody wants to take the time to do that. But since we're in quarantine and we're locked to our houses, you have so much time. I mean, I'm homeschooling my kids and still meal prepping. And I'm actually like I'm above my maintenance calories because while you're in quarantine, who wants to do like a hardcore cut? That's hard. It's really hard. Your activity levels are lower. You have all the foods in your house. You're bored. You're stressed. If you deal with like mental issues, so much of it is the mental. Like you have to flip the switch into thinking, I eat to make myself happy. I'm not eating to punish myself. So I suggest during this time, if you can, just to maybe mess around with weighing and measuring out your food and tracking using MyFitnessPal and just see what you're eating for 2 or 3 days. Like see what your weekly average is of proteins, carbs, and fats. That way, if you use an app, you kind of have the data, you have clear and concise data that can help manipulate. You can manipulate those numbers for your goals that you want to reach, right? So, and it's fun to play food Tetris, I think. That's what I like to call it. So your 3 macronutrients, protein is like the king, right? It helps build strong muscles. It helps you carry good body composition, and it also keeps you satiated and full during the days. So if we're out walking now with the quarantine, maybe you're not getting as much activity in, but you're still trying. The physical act of training and exercise is catabolic. So you're breaking down tissues in an attempt to positively adapt. Like you want to build strong muscles. So getting adequate protein consumption is key in assisting in that positive adaptation. So you can maximize your time spent in the gym and not like have your muscles being catabolic and just constantly breaking down. And your need for dietary protein becomes even more important if you're trying to gain muscle, and if you're trying to lose fat, or if you're aging, like we all are. So it's just always, always, always important. Try to aim for around 1 gram per body weight is a good recommendation for most people. And if you need any, beef, chicken, eggs, egg whites, high quality deli meats, shrimp is a good one. I know the frozen food section's getting attacked in all the grocery stores right now, but you can buy frozen shrimp, which makes, de-thaw it, add some vegetables, add some carbs, easy meal. Any questions on protein? No, that's usually the one that I find a lot of my clients have the hardest time hitting. Because carbs and fats are in like literally everything. So if you have a hard time hitting your protein, I suggest maybe adding a shake in throughout the day, or a bar. I like Quest bars. I know 1 bars are great. Any sort of protein bar that you find appetizing. They're not all good, but some are better than others. And I have lists of those on my website as well. Okay, so carbs. Everybody hates carbs. Carbs are not the devil. Carbs are great. They make you so happy. They help fuel your workouts. They help support your recovery, and they assist in digestion via their fiber content. So, and also your carbs are stored, most of your carbs, not fruit carbs, but rice, breads, those are all stored as glycogen in your muscles. So if you want to get good workouts in, make sure you're eating sufficient carbs. And they're also vital for an optimal thyroid and hormone function, which is really important for ladies, right? If we're having weird thyroid issues or your hormones feel out of whack, maybe you're not eating enough. I mean, far too many people eat sub 100 carbs a day, and I feel like that's just too low for most people. Now, if you have a gluten intolerance, or you have maybe skin issues and you have to cut out gluten for some reason, there's plenty of other carb sources that you can go towards that won't make you freak out or your body freak out. You can find those in rice, vegetables, fruits, squash, potatoes, oatmeal, bread. Just eat your carbs. Just do it. Okay, fats. Fats are crucial for hormone function, including those sex hormones. So if you're feeling sluggish, you're not into your partner, there might be an issue there. Okay. And it's also very important for vitamin absorption. There's a lot of vitamins and minerals that don't get absorbed without fat. So if your body doesn't consistently have the building blocks that it needs for success, you're going to see a decline in your hormone health. So having fewer than 50 grams of fat per day is never okay. You need more than that. So say, for instance, there's a female that's eating low fat for like a long period of time, around 30 to 50 grams a day. It's not uncommon for that female to lose their menstrual cycle or for it to become kind of squirrely, and that's not normal and that's not okay. So if you're in that boat, eat more fats. Absence of a menstrual cycle is never normal. You can find healthy fats in avocados, whole eggs, wild caught fatty fish, nuts, high quality red meats, nut butters. There's lots of options, and I can attach one of those. If you need help with options, I can attach like a little picture that helps you pick from all of the macronutrients. So, questions so far? No?
Yeah, I have one.
Hi.
Hi. Here, I'll type. Do I pop up when I say that? So, hey, it does. Okay, my question for you, Mercedes, is the simple versus complex carbs. You kind of talked about that. What do you recommend, like for pre and post workout, for simple and complex carbs?
I pre and post workout, that's really up to the individual. I think like a banana, something simple, apple, bananas, fruits, if you're going right into a workout, those are going to be most readily available to be utilized. Whereas oatmeal and heavier like complex carbs, if you eat like at dinner the night before, those are going to be nice and stored up in your muscles to be used in like a morning workout. But if you need something right away, you want ones that are the simple carbs to help fuel those workouts right away. They go kind of right into the bloodstream and help with your big lifts and do all the things.
For sure. And then post workout, do you feel like I just know for me, but I don't know if I've really been successful at really doing that. I mean, I use carbs. I don't really like say, oh, it's a simple carb or a complex carb, so I can't eat it. But do you feel like right around the workout with the glycogen stores and stuff that the simple carbs are like, especially after workout? I've seen some things that say, oh, the whole protein shake right after your workout, that you've got that 20-minute magic window afterwards. And then I've seen other things that have said that the carb source, like getting your glycogen stores back up as immediately as possible is where you can kind of gain or lose some of that stuff. Do you kind of subscribe to one camp or the other, both?
I don't, because I've actually researched that, because at a point I'm like, how do I build all the muscles and how do I get so much stronger? There's so many studies out there that say, that I've read, that up to 2 hours post workout, you're still fine. You don't have to like slam a protein drink right after your workout, or it's not like your muscles are going to be like, oh, 20 minutes is up, we're going to close it, nothing can come in. You're still going to like, your muscles and your body is still going to absorb what it's going to absorb. And the time window, it's just, there's still so many studies out there. It's not like one is better than the other. I feel like it's more of a personal preference. Like if you're one of those people where you're starving right after your workout, go eat. But if you're not hungry right after a workout, it's not going to hurt you or your goals to wait until you are hungry.
Perfect.
Makes sense? I think most of it is you don't want to wait too long. Like anything else, you don't want to wait and then you're going to be like eating everything in your pantry because you're so terribly hungry. So making sure, like you said, fueling yourself before a workout is very important. And then sometime after a workout, up to 2 hours is what I kind of go with.
Awesome.
Question? Everybody's got fit aids. Grant brought me a Starbucks. I haven't had one in 4 weeks. If you know me, Kristen, Aaron, Jamie, I used to go to Starbucks every single day after I picked Emmett up from school. It was a problem. Not a problem anymore, but I'm so happy to have it. Okay, anyways. Any other questions? No?
I have one.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of people struggle with the mindset side of eating, and it's very easy for us, especially when we all know that like food is fuel, right? So being in like the personal training, nutrition side of things, we're like, yeah, food fuels us. But for people that are so stuck on, I want to say like society's norm, what you talked about earlier, how do you switch the mindset or help people understand that food is not a problem, it's not a punishment, it's good for you, and you should love and enjoy everything? So I know that's a big part of what you do. So how do you help switch the mindset?
It is really, really hard to talk clients into eating more food. I think it's just by the time they come to me, they need a switch, and I make it okay for them. Like, you aren't going to get fat by eating more food. Like, you're in a position right now that you're coming to me for help, and you need to listen to me because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want you to not reach your goals. Like, so much of it is mental. I feel like 90% of it is the mental part, right? So just making it a safe place for them. Like, just try baby steps. Maybe you don't hit your 150 grams of carbs. Maybe you hit 100. That's okay. Try again tomorrow. Macros isn't something that is super rigid. It can be if you want to follow your numbers exactly. It's just to give you a ballpark of what might work best for your body. And it's always like, it's kind of a guessing game of sorts, like trial and error. You have to try it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, then we make an adjustment. But I feel like teaching people that carbs aren't the devil, fats are good for you, and protein is very important is my main objective when I'm talking to people and helping them overcome their mental boundaries of not eating helps me be skinny, when it's actually the opposite. You know, like, not eating makes your body feel stressed. It feels that it's in danger, and it's going to do everything in that it can to protect you and keep you alive, right? So it's going to hold on to everything because it doesn't know when it's going to get fed again. So by explaining to people that creating a calm, peaceful place for your body where it knows it's going to get fed, it's happy, your hormones are all starting to regulate out, you know, drink your water, eat your foods, and everything's going to fall into place. It's just a matter of communicating and keeping in touch and talking to those clients that have the big issue with the mental aspect of it. I feel like a therapist sometimes, even though I'm not. I feel like I am, and I can't wear that hat. Like, I do as much as I can, but if I have somebody that has like a deep-seated issue, like eating disorder or something, I always, you know, advise like, maybe you need to talk to someone. And that's not always the best, like most comfortable conversation to have, but I can help you with the things that I can help you with. Any further, like, you might need to talk to somebody that's educated or so in that department. But for the most part, people kind of come around. I don't really give them an option. I'll help you. Just let me help you. Okay, so some quarantine advice that I have, since we're in our homes. We don't have access to the gyms, not normal workouts like we're used to on the daily. Some things that I would suggest is have protein with every meal. Every time you sit down to eat, make sure you have like a protein source and a plant. That'll help you get your micronutrients in too. Your micros are those vitamins and minerals from your leafy greens, your vegetables. And since our grocery stores are like fully stocked with all of those things in the produce aisle, like, go get some fun ones and try some meals out with them. There's so many fun recipes on the internet. And even just figuring out on your own, you know, like just spinach, put them in pancakes. I made the coolest green pancakes the other day for my kids, and they ate all of them. They didn't even know there was spinach in there. Try to portion out big packages. If you're a Sam's Club or Costco buyer, try to portion those out. If it says a serving size is 30 grams, get your little Ziplocs out and measure those out and have them like ready. So when you do get the munchies or you do want to mindlessly snack on something, you can have it ready. You already can log it because you know how much you're having, and you don't even really have to think about it. Another rule that I kind of have for myself, because I have a sweet tooth, I don't allow myself to have 2 fun foods 2 meals in a row. So if I had Cadbury eggs with my lunch, I'm not going to have more Cadbury eggs after my dinner. Or if I had like a giant burger, like from takeout from the Roadhouse, if I had one of those at lunch, I'm not going to eat a whole fire pizza for dinner. Or it's just something like that. Like, try to keep it in check. No 2 fun foods back to back. And have a full glass of water before each meal. 1, it'll help with your water intake. And 2, it'll kind of get your gastric juices flowing for your meal and kind of fill you up a little bit. And maybe quarantine can be a fun time for you to mess around and play with tracking. If you don't have MyFitnessPal or a food tracking app, maybe download one and kind of start tracking the things that you're eating every day for the next 2 or 3 days, and see what you're eating. See, are you behind on protein? Are you eating 500 grams of carbs? Are you blowing fat? Like, how much are you eating for 2 or 3 days, and see what your average is for those days. I think that's important, and I think everybody should at least track for some time frame until they don't need to anymore. That way you kind of get really good at the, like, consistency is key, doing things repetitively. The more you weigh, you get that visual of, okay, this is about 4 ounces of rice, or this is about 6 ounces of meat. So then when you do go out, it just becomes like second nature, and you don't really have to think about it. Maybe set some goals. Have something to look forward to. Maybe try to eat 1 vegetable a day if you're not eating any at all. Practice on some of your weaknesses. That goes for like the gym too. Like, if you're really bad at squats, like, try to sit in the bottom of your squat. Like, try to find something positive in your day that you can kind of work on and focus on. And try to get out of that negative mental space, like that victim. Everybody's going stir crazy. Our emotions are going up and down. We're not used to being caged in our houses and not able to go do the things that we want to do. So maybe start thinking like life's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And every time you see a problem, maybe try to look at it as an opportunity to work on something new. Maybe if you've been in a cut and you've been dieting, maybe move to maintenance. Intentionally eat more food. You can increase your calories 50 to 100 calories per week and see what happens. So then you can bump up your metabolic adaptation. So then when you do come out of quarantine and you feel like you want to do a cut, you're going to be set up to do so, right? Or maybe if you've been tracking for a long time, right now might be a good time for you to work on estimating. Like, stop logging everything and see how good you are at estimating what you need on the daily. So those are just some of my little ideas for this time. Questions?
I have a question for you. It's kind of 2 parts, I guess. The first one is, do you have any recommendations on like a percentage of how many proteins, carbs, fats that a person should intake? And then the second part of that is, about a year ago, I really focused on my macronutrient intake, and really focused on the protein, like to the point where it was like I was restrictive with my approach. So like I wanted 50% of my calories to be protein, and then as little as possible to be carbs. And I found myself like almost rebounding back. So like any carb in sight, I would eat, like all the Ritz crackers, all the graham crackers, like any carb I saw, I was like, I need it. And then I wasn't satisfied. I know now, like I just wasn't getting enough carbs, and I definitely thought carbs were bad at that point. But so my second part of that question is do you have any tips or suggestions on how to approach macros? Like, I know that it's not a restrictive approach, but I think that for some of us, we just like automatically go to that restriction. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay, so protein, you never want to go over like 1.2 grams per pound of body weight, just because too much protein, your body's only going to uptake a certain amount. So
Okay.
the rest of it's just going to get excreted. So you can up your protein. I don't know if you 50% of your allotted macros. That's why I figure them out for people. And your carbs, if you're just kind of guessing, you should have at least 150 grams of carbs a day, just for a woman with our hormones and everything else, all the complex things that happen with being a woman. 150 grams of carbs is about, the average of if you're not going to have somebody for you. And then I would say anywhere between 60 and 70 grams of fat is a good ballpark if you don't need a coach or you don't want a coach. That's where I kind of ballpark those things. And then again, like 1 gram per pound of your body weight. So if you weigh 130 pounds, try to eat 130 grams a day. Okay. The carbohydrates. So try to pick up, you probably wanted to eat them all because you severely restricted them for so long, right? So anytime we take something away from us that we like, it's like that yo-yo dieting mentality. I'm not going to eat it at all. I'm going to ignore it. But then eventually it's going to come back and you're just going to annihilate it, right? So maybe portion some things out that you enjoy to eat for the day, so then you don't feel deprived, you still get it, and you're not going to be hunting for it in your home. Like if Ritz crackers are your like kryptonite, have some Ritz crackers every day. There was a point though, like with me, I love Nutella. There was a point where I couldn't even have it in the house. Like I could legit sit with a jar of Nutella and eat the whole thing. Easy. No stomach ache, no headache, easy. So in that case where it's like a trigger food, maybe you don't have it in your house for a while until you start feeding and fueling and making your body happy. Sometimes those cravings that you get, it's because you're lacking in one of the macronutrient areas. So once you're fulfilling those and you're making your body a happy place, you'll realize that a lot of the cravings that you have kind of just go away and you don't even think about it. But it takes time, just like anything else. Okay, that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any more questions? Josie, anything else you want me to hit on?
I guess like maybe I'm trying to think about how to word this. Mindfulness is such a big thing when it comes to eating and listening to your body, like if you need something or another. And I know that a lot of people think that when they start tracking or they start to commit all into nutrition, they're like, okay, so when do I eat this? And when should I eat lunch? And when should I do this? And how do you approach that question? Because I feel like a lot of people want to know, like, should I not eat anything after 8 p.m.? Or is intermittent fasting the right thing to do? And there's all these questions that people are told these wrong, crazy answers to. So, like, what do you say when you hear those things?
I say do what makes you happy. If you like to intermittently fast between like noon and 8, do it. If you don't like breakfast, don't eat breakfast. Like, if you don't want to eat a late dinner, don't eat a late dinner. As long as you're hitting like your macros and you're eating the amounts of calories that you need for your body, it doesn't matter when you eat them. Like 200 calories is 200 calories, whether you eat it at 8 p.m. or 5 p.m. Just as long as you're not going over. Like if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're binging, you're finding yourself in the cupboard, then maybe we need to up your calories a little bit because you're obviously hungry. You should be sleeping when you're asleep and awake when you're awake. And it doesn't necessarily matter when you eat, just as long as you eat when makes you happy and you're eating the foods that you need to fuel your body.
Perfect.
So I kind of intermittently fast. Before quarantine, I would have my protein coffee in the morning, go hit the gym, pick my son up from preschool, and then I would have my first meal when I got home. But now in quarantine, I'm like homeschooling kids, drinking my coffee, and I'm eating breakfast. And I don't normally eat breakfast, and I'm fine. Like, I'm finding myself like being pretty content during the day. My blood sugars seem pretty stable. I'm not wanting to like eat all the Cadbury eggs like midday. So you just get like, I don't usually eat breakfast. I'm eating breakfast right now and it's fine, but it's personal preference more than anything. So
Perfect. Anybody else have any questions? It's such a big topic, and it is. There's so many
places I could go with it.
And it's so important. And right now, I think one of the biggest things that people need to focus on is taking care of their mental well-being and realizing that they need to eat to feel good. It's not about eating to look a certain way. It's eating to fuel yourself to perform the way you want to perform and show up the way that you want to show up.
Yes.
I mean,
cringe when I have friends that I cringe when they're like, oh, I'm locked in the house and I've been eating everything and now I'm going to go on this diet where I don't eat meats. I'm not going to eat carbs. I'm not going to do anything but eat vegetables. And I'm like, that's not going to help you. Like, just eat good foods, like doing those yo-yo diets, you're just going to go back to where you were. And it's just an ugly, ugly cycle. And it makes me so sad because I was one of those people way back in the day. Like, it happened to me and it's hard. Like, you don't really know what you're doing, but the only thing you know is that's been stamped into our heads is don't eat if you want to lose weight. And that's just couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah. It blows my mind. And it makes me so happy when I have clients that are eating more foods than they've ever had before and they're losing weight, or they're seeing body composition changes, or they say they feel so good. Like that one, I feel so good, is my favorite response. Like, you just feel good when you make your body happy and you flip that switch in your mind. Like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to eat these foods. I'm going to try to do all the things, and they do it. And they're scared at first, but then they realize how good they can feel. And then they're sleeping better, and then they're performing better, and then they're having more positive thoughts throughout the day. That stuff's important, especially now, so more than ever.
I have a question. I have a couple questions. So that that amount of protein sounds so like, because I've heard that before, that you're supposed to eat, however much you weigh, but that seems so hard. Like, what am I just like snacking on a chicken breast? Or like, how do you get that much protein?
You can do per body weight, or you can do, like, for some clients that I have that are very overweight, I use their ideal body weight, which I use, there's like a chart that I use to find people's ideal body weights according to their height. It's not hard though.
Okay.
You can have, like, I add egg whites to my smoothies sometimes, and that sounds absolutely disgusting, but it's good. Like, you can't taste it at all. If you buy the cartons of egg whites, you can just add like 2 to 4 ounces in your smoothie, and it makes the texture creamy. You can add, instead of using coffee creamer, what I do is I use a scoop of protein powder and about 4 to 5 ounces of almond milk. And I use a little whisk, and I whisk it, and it's like a creamer, and I add my coffee. So then there's like 20 to 30 grams of protein first thing in the morning. You can add low fat cottage cheese to things, Greek yogurt, chicken, lean ground turkey, lean ground beef. You can double up at meals. Like, if you're eating 2 ounces of ground meat, in your taco, maybe add 4 ounces and see where you get. Like just double up on things is what I do. I can eat 200 grams of protein easy if I wanted to, but I've been doing it for so long. You can add protein to your oatmeal. You can add egg whites to your oatmeal. I'm saying just egg whites because you don't want to put raw eggs, like the whole egg, if you're just looking for protein sources. But I also love like whole eggs.
Okay. And so like say like I just don't really work out one day and I'm just gonna go for a really long walk. Do you still recommend that same amount or
Yes.
like less? Okay.
Same. You want to eat the same. Like your macros don't change. When I calculate someone's macros, it's based on their body comp, their goals, how active they are during the day. You don't want to really restrict on the days that you're not doing much because your body still needs that. Whether you're walking, your body is still going to be repairing muscles and needing those calories and those nutrients from the foods for your hormones, for certain things to be going on in your body, and for muscle repair too. So it's important just to keep it nice and steady and eat the same every day.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Thank you.
Welcome. Any more questions? Nope.
This was awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So how can people find you?
They can find me. My website is macrosbymeve.com, or my Instagram handle is @macrosbymeve. I also have on my Instagram, in my saved stories, I have lots of little recipes and supplements that I like and things just to help you like figure out meals. Like I need more protein in this one. I've got those for you. So
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on today. So I will probably upload this video this afternoon. I will send it out and put it in the Great Falls Squad group. And then if you know anybody that you think could really benefit from this, you can either go to my YouTube channel and grab the link. But I just think it's really important to realize that food is fuel. It's not a punishment. Carbs are a wonderful thing that give you energy and make you happy. And we all deserve to be happy right now. So yeah.
I agree with you. Also on that note, food is fuel, but food is fun too.
Yes.
So.
Super fun. And so are Cadbury eggs.
Yes.
Sorry, we've been like going back and forth for like 3 weeks on our conversations around Cadbury eggs. So good thing Easter's over because they're gone. So all right, well, thank you guys so much. And we have one more workshop for Virtual Wellness Week. It is tomorrow, and it's going to be a fun, interactive one with the ladies from Pretty Active. They're going to try on some of their new clothes. You're going to get a 30% off discount on their website, which is pretty dang good. And then, yeah, we'll kind of close it up and go from there. So thank you guys so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.